Die Grenzwacht hielt im Osten dem Feinde lange stand. Heut kehrt ihr letzter Posten zurück ins Vaterland.
I have come back prompted by the ever-present internet advertisements for Black History Month, as it's called here in the United States. I'm sure, though, that many of you all over the world are well aware and see many such stories of non-white invention and success promoted throughout the entire year now. Perhaps you've heard about peanut butter, maybe you've heard about stoplights, and you can go into that rabbit hole as well. Maybe you've heard stories about blood transfusion, and then you got confused when you found yourself on Wikipedia looking at a very light-skinned, partially African man. Perhaps you've watched the most recent Proud Family video where they claim that blacks, quote, tilled the land from sea to sea, a claim which completely ignores the white farmers who actually did travel to these areas and did till this land, while blacks were, at that time, still present, being a portion of the help in some states. That's just mainstream narrative. Then the Proud Family claim, for just one example, is obviously false. Agriculture happened everywhere in America, and it mostly happened without blacks. Such would be the obvious reality because blacks were the minority, not anywhere close to being a majority. So here we might start to see problems in these contribution narratives. They can be false. They also can often rely on white erasure, removing us from our own history when these stories of effort or innovation falsely claim credit for things that Western people actually accomplished. Secondly, this is important in terms of the anti-whiteism that such claims encourage. To claim that these inventions were non-white and were not noted as non-white prior to our recent years because of Western people in the past is an accusation of mass conspiracy perpetuated by some group of Western people, or just Western people in general as a group. This is an accusation directed against a people. Knowing other Western people, though, it is lunacy, of course, to imagine that the same people who already had damaging affirmative action in place at the level of the government would ignore black contributions or the contributions of any other group which this same government sought to include. And this is not me trying to claim that our governments have been controlled by us for a while. We are reminded, after all, that contributions are a justification for inclusion. Perhaps it's even implied that we are in debt due to these contributions. Since we aren't in the habit of highlighting Western contributions or Western civilization in general as the distinct creation of Western people wherever we go, then we don't imply similarly that non-whites might be in debt to us. This discrepancy in concentration and the implications of debt, though, should make you at least question how someone is able to make you feel that they are owed from you and your people in the present day. How are others able to make you responsible for them? Wouldn't the accuser benefit from making and then even totally fabricating these claims of Western mass conspiracy? Also then, if their people were naturally superior in these innovations, then wouldn't they have been victorious before? Wouldn't they naturally invent as much presently as they might now claim regarding the inventions of their ancestors in the apparently shadowy past? However, let's step back from these arguments or individual contributions for a moment. Let's imagine that every claim of contribution to a Western country is actually true. Or at least, let's imagine that most of these claims are true. If they were, then let me ask you this. Why would it matter? Why would we take contributions from the past as an excuse for why we need to accept our current suffering? ever greater victimization and our dispossession on the basis of our purported debt weighed as a race. Let's think about another demographic that we are supposedly in debt to. I'd like to discuss Albert Einstein here. Let's say, just as a matter of faith, let's just assume that he was correct. Now, if so, if these are major contributions, should we still accept that this man openly hated our people? Why are his contributions, if they were indeed contributions, an excuse for his malice directed against us? Why would you even ask what others have contributed to us? To accept this narrative that the contributions of another group should justify their ability to extract and extract really makes an easy argument for those that wish to see Western people lose and decrease. Even when the question is asked to prompt thoughts on real differences, the question comes from this totally false narrative that contributions are a reason that we should ignore our own well-being. The Japanese didn't need to become a minority in their own country to benefit from Western technology. Sometimes technology is stolen, and sometimes it's just given freely. Likewise, Western people didn't need any other demographic in Western countries in order to fully realize who they were, continue these traditions, unique to each of our many ethnicities, or perpetuate our beautiful cultures and live happy, healthy lives. Countries such as Denmark, Sweden, and Ireland did fine, especially when the people there could live freely according to their needs, those needs of their own people, as a distinct group. Now they're not doing fine. Not at all. It seems hard to look at their former uniqueness and independent inventiveness and say that they needed someone else to come in and invent things for them, or change who they are. Even if the Germans love curry, I can't imagine that they owe territory to Indians, any more than Indians owe territory to the British for giving them cricket, which they really seem to love, among many other inventions that the British freely gave them. In either case, you clearly don't need to sacrifice the genetic future of your people because someone may or didn't invent peanut butter. To me, this reveals what you do when you ask about or explain the contributions of another group in the context of them being given territory, access, and benefits from us as a group. It's not a celebration, and it's not about being fair. It's simply an excuse. It's an excuse for why we can't pursue the policies that we know will ensure our well-being. It's an excuse for why our people can be made to suffer further rather than concentrating on our own well-being and continuation. So for me, and I hope many others, I'm not going to accept these excuses. I'm reacting to what I see right now, and none of your excuses will stop me caring. None of your excuses will stop me caring about the future for my people.
Ich darf nicht länger zagen, bald zwingt sie euren Sinn, nach Ostland sie zu tragen. Sie will, sie muss dorthin. Nach Ostland sie zu tragen. Sie will, sie muss dorthin.